Hey guys, this lesson is on solving multi-step inequalities. This is basically the same as our previous lessons in solving inequalities, such that we're going to solve them just as we did with the equations last chapter. However, we have to remember when multiplying or dividing by a negative number, you must flip the inequality sign. So in order to solve number one, remember we're always looking to add or subtract if possible first. In this case, we're going to do the opposite operation, which is subtraction here, in which will leave us with negative 3t is less than negative 9. Last step would be dividing by negative 3 on both sides to get t is greater than positive 3. We must flip the inequality sign there because we divided by a negative number on both sides of the inequality signs. In order to represent that solution on the number line, we will put the number 3 and the two values next to it on the number line. We will represent 3 is not a solution by putting an open point above 3. Since 3 is not greater than 3, it is not a solution. However, where are the solutions on the number line? It would be every number to the right of that value, since the values, or the t, has to be greater than 3. I'm going to now skip to problem number 4. What operation should we do first? That would be adding 2 on both sides. Remember, we're always looking to add or subtract before multiplying or divide when solving equations or inequalities. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. We would be left with negative d divided by 2 is less than 25. Since we have a negative on the left side and we're dividing by 2, we could multiply by negative 2 on both sides in order to solve. The negative 2 and the negative d over 2 will cross simplify just to get our variable d. I do have to flip the sign because we're multiplying by a negative number. And 25 times negative 2 would be negative 50. So our answer is d is greater than negative 50. The solutions to that inequality are all the numbers bigger than negative 50. So I'm going to, on my number line, write negative 50, negative 49, negative 51. I'm going to represent that negative 50 is not a solution, since negative 50 isn't greater than negative 50, it's equal to itself. And an arrow to the right showing all the numbers that are solutions to that inequality are all the values greater than negative 50, or to the right. I'm going to skip to number 5, in which the first step we should do is add 2 on both sides. We would be left with 2/3 x is less than 10. 2/3 is now being multiplied to x, so we technically want to divide 2/3 on both sides. But how do we divide fractions? We're going to multiply by its reciprocal, which means flip the fraction upside down. The reciprocal of 2/3 would be 3/2, or 3 over 2. 3/2 times 2 over 3 would cross simplify to get x is less than 10 times 3/2 would be 30/2. 30 divided by 2 is 15. Notice I did not flip the sign in this problem because we did not multiply by a negative number. We multiplied by positive 3/2. I'm going to represent this solution on my number line with the number 15 and the two values next to it on the number line. An open point above 15 showing it is not a solution, and an arrow to the left showing that all the numbers to the left of 15, or less than 15 on the number line, are solutions to the inequality. I'm going to now scroll, What I'd like you to do is pause the video, try 2, 3, and 6 yourselves. Once you're done, play the video for the answers and a little explanation of each. Our answer for problem number 2, we should get f is greater than or equal to 8. You did not divide by a negative number, so there's no need to flip the sign. On the number line, we would put a solid point above 8 showing it is a solution since 8 is greater than or equal to 8, and an arrow to the right showing that all the solutions are greater than 8 on the number line. For number 3, you should have gotten the solution w is greater than or equal to negative 64. There's no need to flip the sign in this case because you multiplied by a positive 8 on both sides. Just because the answer happens to be negative is not why we flip the sign. The reason why we flip the sign is when we multiply by a negative number on both sides or divide by a negative number. Since we multiplied by positive 8, do not flip the sign. And lastly, number 6, the first operation we should have done was multiplied by 4 on both sides. It's a positive number. No need to flip the inequality sign. And we should have ended up with x is less than or equal to negative 2. There's a little typo in this case. So we should have a closed point above negative 2 and an arrow to the left. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next page, which now has some distributing and a variable on both sides. I'm going to do 7 and 9, and then you guys will try 8 and 10 on your own. Number 7, as you can see, we have parentheses, so we're going to distribute the 2 or multiply the 2 times both terms in that parentheses to get 2x plus 8 is less than or equal to 8. The next step would be to subtract 8 on both sides, which would leave us with 2x is less than or equal to 0. And our variable is not alone yet, so I'm going to divide 2 on both sides. Since 2 is being multiplied to the variable, we're going to do the opposite and divide. Since I divided by a positive number, I'm not going to flip the sign. 0 divided by 2 is 0. So the solutions to this inequality are every number less than or equal to 0 on the number line. So we're going to put a solid point above 0 showing it is a solution, and an arrow to the left showing that solutions are all the numbers to the left of 0 on the number line. Number 9, as you can see, we have the variable r on both sides of the inequality. What you want to do is eliminate one of those expressions by adding or subtracting one of them on both sides of the inequality. I think the easiest route to take is subtracting 9r on both sides, which would leave us with 15 is less than 24 plus r. The next step would be to subtract 24 on both sides to give us negative 9 is less than r. Remember, we always want to write our variable first, and this is another time where we have to switch the sign to keep the expression the same. If negative 9 is less than r, r must be greater than negative 9. On our number line, we'll write negative 9 and the two numbers at least next to it, negative 8 and negative 10. An open circle above negative 9 showing it is not a solution because negative 9 is not greater than negative 9, but all the numbers to the right of that on the number line are greater than negative 9. What I'm going to ask you to do is try 8 and 10 on your own, pause the video, and play it back once you get your answers. Here are your answers for number 8 and 10. In number 8, you were to distribute the negative 3 into the parentheses, multiplying it by both of the terms inside the parentheses. In this case, you did end up dividing by a negative number. Therefore, you had to switch the sign in your final answer, showing that the solutions are less than negative 3. For our graph, we're going to do an open point above negative 3 and an arrow to the left. In number 10, we had to actually distribute on both sides of our inequality, giving us negative 6w minus 6 is less than or equal to 2w plus 10. We have a variable on both sides of the inequality, similar to number 9, in which you want to eliminate one of them. In this case, I chose to add 6w on both sides, eliminating the w from the left. The next step would be to subtract the 10. We divided by a positive 8 on both sides. There's no need to switch the sign. However, we do have to switch the sign when we then write our variable first, giving us w is greater than or equal to negative 2. On our number line, we're going to show the solutions with a solid point above negative 2, showing it is a solution, and an arrow to the right showing all the numbers greater than negative 2 are also solutions to the inequality. If you guys have any questions about today's lesson, please let me know, and I'll talk to you soon.